Story 5. The Last Ding-Dong Ditch. Summer nights in the suburbs were made for trouble. For Jacob, Ty, and Malik, that meant bikes, jokes, and their favorite game, Ding-Dong Ditch. Three friends, reckless and laughing, daring each other to knock on doors and sprint into the shadows. That night the air was hot, cicadas buzzing, the streets empty. Perfect. They rode until they found it, a house at the end of Maple Lane. Old, sagging, windows covered by heavy curtains. Nobody in the neighborhood ever talked about it, except to whisper. Some said the man inside was crazy. Others swore nobody lived there at all. Bet you won't, Ty grinned. Jacob, always the brave one, smirked. Watch me. He crept up the cracked steps, Malik and Ty stifling their laughs in the bushes. Jacob raised his fist, knocked hard 3 times. Bang, 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 then bolted. The boys ran, hearts pounding. But before they could clear the yard, the front door creaked open. A figure stepped out. Tall, thin, too thin, its head tilted sharply as if sniffing the air. Jacob froze, breath-catching. The porch light flickered, and in that split second, they saw its face. Stretched skin, eyes wide and milky, mouth hanging open like it was broken. "Run!" Malik hissed. They sprinted. Gravel crunched under their shoes, lungs burning. Behind them came the sound, bare feet slapping against pavement impossibly fast. Ty tripped, crashing into the sidewalk. Jacob and Malik yanked him up, adrenaline surging, but the thing was close now. Too close. They cut through a yard, vaulting fences, gasping. Ty screamed suddenly. The thing had grabbed him, its bony hand wrapped around his wrist. Its other hand reached down, claw-like. Ty shrieked as it twisted. Jacob swung a loose brick from the ground, slamming it into the thing's arm. It screeched, a sound like metal scraping glass, and Ty tore free. But he wasn't whole. Blood poured from his hand. One finger was gone, torn clean off. He clutched the stump, wailing as they dragged him toward the street. Headlights appeared. A car was coming. Desperate, the boys waved it down. The thing froze at the edge of the curb, eyes glowing faintly, then melted back into the shadows as the car screeched to a stop. The driver called 911. Ty was rushed to the hospital. He survived, but his finger never turned up. Some nights, Jacob swears he hears tapping on his window, slow, deliberate, like a single finger knocking. Malik won't even go near Maple Lane anymore. And Ty? He laughs it off in daylight, but at night, when the cicadas buzz and the streets go quiet, he swears he can still feel something tugging at his hand. That summer, they learned the hard way. Not every door is meant to be knocked on. Story 4. The Ride Swap. The summer trip to Fairview Amusement Park was supposed to be perfect. The Johnson family had planned it for months. Roller coasters, cotton candy, laughter under neon lights. Everything felt alive. But from the moment they stepped through the gates, Emma noticed something strange. The park was crowded, yet eerily quiet between bursts of music and screams. Sometimes when rides stopped, she thought she heard whispering under the mechanical hum. Soft, layered voices, almost like chanting. Her parents laughed it off. Her younger brother Caleb only frowned and squeezed her hand. They rode everything. The Ferris wheel, bumper cars, spinning teacups. But when they reached the blackout, a ride that hurled you into total darkness, Emma hesitated. The line was long, and she swore the shadows beneath the ride pulsed like they were alive. Her parents brushed it off. It's just a ride. So they climbed in. Emma sat beside Caleb. The lights cut out. Screams filled the air. For 2 minutes, everything was black. Emma could only hear the wind, the gears, and Caleb's panicked breathing. When the ride screeched to a stop, Caleb was still beside her, smiling too wide, eyes a little too still. Something felt wrong. At first it was small. His laugh sounded different, slower, deeper. He didn't complain when their dad bought the wrong flavor of ice cream, though Caleb always did. He walked with strange stiffness, like he wasn't used to his own legs. Their parents noticed nothing, but Emma couldn't shake it. She caught him staring once, unblinking, grin stretched too far. When she snapped, he tilted his head like he was studying her. The unease grew worse on the drive home. The car hummed down the empty highway. Their parents chatted. Caleb sat silent in the back. That's when Emma saw it. His reflection in the window didn't move when he did. He scratched his arm, but in the glass the reflection smiled. "Mom," Emma whispered, "something's wrong with Caleb." Her parents chuckled, dismissing it. But Caleb slowly turned, eyes catching the dim light, pale like marbles. Then he spoke. His voice was layered, two voices overlapping. "Why are you looking at me like that, Emma?" The air in the car dropped cold. Her parents froze. Emma's heart pounded. She remembered the ride, the whispers, the dark. Something had come back with them. Something that wasn't supposed to leave the park. Her father swerved to the side of the road. But by then, the thing wearing Caleb's face was already smiling wider. Teeth too sharp, too many. That night, Emma learned the truth. The ride hadn't ended when the lights came back on. For her family, summer would never feel safe again. Story 3. The Last Campfire. Summer camping trips were tradition for Dylan. Marcus, Jess, and Leah, 4 friends since high school, reunited every year at a hidden clearing deep in the woods. This summer felt no different. Tents pitched, a fire crackling, and laughter echoing under the stars. But the woods had other plans. The first night passed quietly. On the second, strange noises started, branches snapping just beyond the firelight, low rustling that stopped when they spoke. Marcus joked it was a deer, but Jess swore she saw something watching from the trees, tall, pale, unmoving. They laughed it off, until Dylan vanished. One moment he was by the fire, grabbing another beer. The next, the chair was empty. No footsteps. No sound, just gone. They searched with flashlights, calling his name, but the forest swallowed their voices. When they found his phone lying on the trail, the screen still glowing, fear settled in. They stayed awake the rest of the night, clinging to the fire. By dawn, Leah wanted to leave, but Marcus insisted Dylan probably wandered off. They argued, voices rising, until Jess screamed. Something had grabbed Marcus, yanking him backward into the dark. His shout was cut short, smothered by the trees. Leah and Jess ran after him, but all they found was his cap lying in the dirt, torn and wet with something darker than mud. Panic set in. The woods were too quiet now. No birds, no wind, just silence pressing on them from every side. That night, Jess broke. She whispered that she couldn't take it anymore, that they had to run. Leah begged her to wait until sunrise. Jess didn't listen. She bolted into the trees, flashlight beam jerking wildly. Seconds later, her light blinked out. Her scream never ended. It was cut off, sharp and sudden. Like the forest had swallowed her whole. Leah was alone. She sat by the dying fire, clutching the hatchet Marcus had brought. Eyes wide, waiting for morning. Hours crawled by. Every time the fire cracked, she flinched. She thought she heard footsteps circling, closer and closer. Then the fire burned out. Darkness swallowed her. Leah gripped the hatchet tight, heart pounding. Something moved behind her, breathing heavy, too close. She spun, swinging blindly. The blade hit nothing but air. But whatever was there stopped. She didn't sleep. She didn't move. She sat frozen until the sun finally rose, light breaking through the trees. And just like that, the presence was gone. Leah stumbled out of the woods hours later, pale, shaking, eyes hollow. When rescuers asked what happened to her friends, she said only one thing. They never made it to morning. Story 2. The Road Back. Summer nights on the highway can feel endless. Warm air rushing through the open windows, the hum of tires on asphalt, and the kind of silence that makes you forget the rest of the world exists. That's what Daniel thought when he packed his bags and left the lake late one night, driving alone toward the city. The roads were empty. The moon followed him like a pale lantern in the sky. And for a while, the drive felt peaceful. But peace doesn't last on roads like these. It began with headlights. In the rearview mirror, Daniel noticed them far behind, 2 beams cutting through the dark. Nothing unusual. But minutes passed, then half an hour, and the car never pulled closer, never fell back, just steady, matching his speed, glowing like eyes that refused to blink. Daniel told himself it was nothing. Summer highways stretched for miles. Maybe the driver was going the same way, but as the night deepened, dread crept in. He slowed down. The car slowed too. He sped up. So did the lights. Always the same distance. Always watching. By now, the road felt endless. No other cars, no towns, just black forest pressing in on both sides. The hum of the tires grew louder, almost like whispers. Daniel tried to shake it off, but when he looked again, His stomach turned. The headlights weren't aligned anymore. They were higher, tilted, as if the car had risen onto the shoulder, or lifted off the ground entirely. His chest tightened. He pressed harder on the gas. For a moment, the headlights vanished. Relief flooded him until they reappeared. Not behind, but beside him, glowing through the trees. The impossible part? There was no road there, just forest. Yet the lights moved parallel, weaving between the trunks like some massive predator stalking its prey. Daniel's hands shook on the wheel. He locked the doors, though he knew it wouldn't matter. When he looked back again, the lights were gone. Only darkness trailed behind. Then, thump. The roof of his car shook. Another thump. Something heavy crawled across the top. His breath caught. He didn't dare stop, didn't dare look up. The windshield rattled as claws scraped metal. He floored it, engine screaming, eyes locked on the endless road ahead. The weight shifted, dragging, until it slid off the back. In the mirror, for just a heartbeat, he saw it. Taller than the car, limbs too long, eyes glowing like coals, standing in the middle of the road, watching him. Daniel didn't slow down until sunrise, when a gas station appeared like an oasis. He stumbled inside, pale, trembling. The cashier asked if he was all right. He wanted to explain, but who would believe him? To this day, Daniel refuses to drive highways at night. Summer used to mean freedom, road trips, endless skies. Now it means headlights in the dark, and the memory of something that was never supposed to follow him home. He made it out alive, but he would never take that road at night again. The lake house. Summer was supposed to be perfect. The sun, the freedom, the escape from everything that felt heavy during the year. For Mia and her cousin Alex, the plan was simple. A week at a quiet lake house far from the city. No phones, no work, no noise. Just water, laughter, and warm nights under the stars. The first 2 days were exactly that. They swam until their skin wrinkled, grilled food on the deck, and stayed up late trading stories. The lake was vast, calm, and beautiful, stretching into the tree line like an endless sheet of glass. But by the third night, things began to change. It started with a sound. They were sitting on the porch when a sharp splash echoed across the lake. Not like a fish jumping, louder, heavier. They leaned over the railing, but the water looked empty, smooth, still. Probably a log, Alex muttered. But Mia felt her skin crawl. The next night it came again. Splash, closer this time. Alex shined a flashlight across the water. For a second, Mia swore she saw something pale just under the surface, too big to be a fish, too smooth to be driftwood. They laughed it off, but the laughter was nervous, forced. On the 5th night, they decided to prove it was nothing. They took the canoe out under the moonlight, the lake glowing silver. Halfway across, Alex froze. "Do you hear that?" A faint ripple echoed behind them. Then another. Something was circling. Alex paddled faster, but the ripples followed. Mia aimed the flashlight into the lake and screamed. Just beneath the surface, a face stared up. Hollow eyes. A mouth too wide, open in a silent scream. Its skin was pale, bloated, the color of something that had been underwater too long. The canoe rocked violently. Water splashed as if struck from below. Alex fought to keep them steady, knuckles white on the paddle. "Don't look down," he shouted, but Mia couldn't stop. The pale figure wasn't alone. Dozens surfaced, heads breaking through the water one by one, silent, watching. The canoe lurched again. A cold hand shot up, gripping the edge. Mia slammed the paddle until it sank back under. More hands followed, reaching, trying to drag them in. They paddled with everything they had. The shore looked impossibly far, but adrenaline carried them. Behind them, the water boiled with movement. Dozens of pale figures thrashing, chasing. When they finally reached the dock, Alex nearly threw Mia onto the boards before pulling himself out. They sprinted into the cabin, slamming the door, locking every bolt. From inside, they heard splashes continue. Closer, louder, until finally, silence. Neither of them slept that night. At dawn, they packed everything and left. They never spoke about it again. But sometimes, in the dead of summer, Mia still wakes to the sound of water dripping. And every time she looks at a lake now, she swears she sees ripples, even when the water is still. They survived. But they both knew one thing for certain. They would never spend another summer there again,